Oh, so you wanted to watch a movie too? Well, I'd love it if you'd watch one with me. You will? That's wonderful. Well then, if you don't mind, I'd love it if we could watch a horror movie. There's been this one I've been dying to watch. I hope you don't mind the pun. Anyway, let me just find the case. Well then, I'll put it in. Let me just pop it out of there. And then if I just find the right button to open this up. There we go. There we are. And we just do this. Okay, well then. I think there are some snacks in here. Ah, there are. I think there's some jelly beans as well here. Well then, are you ready to watch this movie? So am I. Let me just get the remote and we'll get it set. And play. Oh, it's starting. I'm so excited for this. I hope you are too. Okay, I'll be quiet now. Whatever happened to Adventureland? By Zed Bland Sky. Does anyone remember those giant indoor indoor playgrounds from way back in the day. You'd beg your parents to be taken to these magical places of vast ball pits, convoluting tunnels, and slides that hurt your ass all the way down. Together with friends, you pretend to be brave explorers, embarking on quests for the maze of vibrantly colored plastic. Or you'd play hide and seek as you excitedly hurtled through jungle gyms, bounced over tight ropes, zipped around on track lines, and barreled headfirst down tunnel slides. The place from my childhood was called Adventureland. Just writing its name sends a wave of nostalgia through me, followed closely by a chill. It was located in a shopping plaza 20 minutes from my house. From the outside it looked run down, save for the colorful block letters that adorned its entrance. Once inside, though, a kid could get lost in its awing environment for hours, days maybe, if their parents let them. I'll never forget those tunnel slides. Those few seconds of darkness never failed to thrill me, where it didn't matter if your eyes were open or closed. It all looked the same to every kid. A mutual blackness seen by none, yet experienced by all who dared plunged into its abysmal mouth. I had a love-hate relationship with one particular slide. I remember standing at the top of it with bated breath. The slide would go down 4 stories, which was taller than my house, and dump its contents at the ground level of the playscape. 4 stories of darkness, a red plastic tube that had no light, no windows, nothing to grip as you helplessly slid down it. Sometimes I'd linger at the top, a certain fear rooting me in place. I'd let kids go in front of me and listen to their whoops fade, like the siren of a receding ambulance. Then I'd anxiously look at the other end of the slide, a part of me wondering what would happen if the kid somehow got lost in the tunnel, never to be seen again. Before these thoughts could manifest into reality, I'd catch the kid emerging unscathed with a wide grin on his face. "It's safe," a voice inside my head said. A voice that would become more clear as I grew older. The voice of reason. See? Nothing to be afraid of. But sometimes that voice is wrong. Sometimes a kid's gut feeling isn't his imagination getting the best of him. When every hair in your body feels like needles on a pine tree, you just know that something doesn't feel right. Grown-ups won't believe you. Why would they? You're just a kid. Your input is irrelevant. That's why when grown-ups, including my parents, never believed me when I told them that my sister had been kidnapped by the man who lived in the tunnels of Adventureland. After all, I was just a kid whose sister had gone missing. There were always those dumb rumors that spread through town during a time before text messages and social media. Stories were swapped on concrete stoops like Pokemon cards, or outside convenience stores where $5 was enough to buy a day's worth of candy. They spoke of some sick fuck waving razor blades in the cracks of the tunnel slides. An unsuspecting kid would go down the slide and come out with a gash the size of Mississippi's river down their back. I'd always wonder how someone could possibly put a razor blade there, with the slides being so slippery and all. Other rumors included people hiding in the ball pits. If a lone child got too close, they'd grab them, drag them up and under, drug them, and take them through some secret trap door at the bottom of the pit. "How many kids have they taken?" I'd ask with fearful eyes. "Oh, hundreds," my friends would reply nostalgically, and go back to trading a Magikarp for a Nodoking. I always took these rumors with a grain of salt. Were they true? Probably not. Could they be true? Possibly. It was enough for me to play at Adventureland with caution. I'd take extra time crawling through the tunnels, aware that someone could be hiding around the corner, waiting to grab me. Emily, my younger sister, was not as careful as me. She was naive and vulnerable. I had introduced Emily to the wonders of Adventureland. I proudly showed her how to use the track lines and tipped her off on the arcade games that gave you the most tickets. I also led her through the tunnels and down the tunnel slides, including the one that was 4 stories tall. I couldn't show her any fear, or anything like that, so without hesitation, I plummeted down the slide. I heard her giggles until about halfway down. Then I heard nothing for a few seconds. Everything went dark. I was alone. I fought off hidden razor blades, but before I could panic, I emerged into the safety of the light. I sighed in relief and looked up at the smiling face of my sister. I waved cheerfully. See? Nothing to be afraid of. At the time, I couldn't bear to scare her with rumors that weren't proven to be true. I couldn't tell her to watch out for razor blades in the slides, or kidnappers in the ball pits, or use needles in the tunnels. If you saw the way she looked up to me, like I was her hero, you'd understand. The night before her disappearance, I had a terrible dream. I was at Adventureland, standing before the giant playscape. The arcade behind me was silent. I was alone. There was a gripping pressure on my chest, the same inescapable fear I felt those few moments inside the red tunnel slide surface. Only this time, it was prolonged and torturous. My eyes wandered up towards one of the tunnels. There, in one of the fishbowl windows, was a man. His ugly face was twisted in a sneer, and he looked down at me with morbid pleasure. With a long, crooked finger, he beckoned me over. My body began to move toward him, climbing up and up and up until I woke up. My bed was soaked in sweat. I saw the man's gleeful face every time I closed my eyes, only now it was more contorted. I shuddered and tried to find sleep again. I knew the bad news was coming seconds before the phone rang. My mother answered it and began screaming. Together we drove to Adventureland to find my sister. The cops were already there. They kept a close watch on the people who came and went. I overheard several grown-ups talking that day, and this is what I was able to piece together. Emily was at a birthday party for one of her classmates. When it was time to go into one of the side rooms for pizza and cake, my dad, one of the chaperones, did a quick head count. He noticed that my sister was missing. After waiting impatiently for some time, he started calling her name through the slides, but she did not come out. Several kids went in to go find her, and when they turned up empty-handed, that's when shit hit the fan. My dad started freaking out on one of the supervisors and demanded a search party for Emily. The cops were called. They, too, couldn't find anything. The grown-ups started telling stories about an abduction where a kid was taken to the bathroom, their head was shaven, and they were snuck out of the grocery store under the quick disguise. The same thing must have happened to Emily, they said. At this point, an Amber Alert had been issued for Emily. I must have swept through the playscape a dozen times looking for Emily, but I knew it was pointless. She had been taken by the man I saw in my dreams, the man who lived in the tunnels. I just knew it. My gut told me so, but who would believe me? Adventureland closed its doors for a good few days later. When the cops asked for surveillance footage of the property, the owner shamefully admitted that there were no cameras installed. When the building was inspected more closely, it turned out that Adventureland had several glaring safety violations. Emily's tomb of plastic had been sealed the next day. I knew she was still in there somewhere. Whether or not she was alive was a different question. My parents were too preoccupied with Emily's disappearance to notice I had taken a long bike ride. My mission was to find my sister and bring her back. The outside of Adventureland looked more dilapidated than usual. I went around the back looking for a way in, and there was a door with a small window above the handle. I picked up a rock and broke the glass. The security alarm didn't go off, so I let myself in. I crept through the building until I came to the main room. The playground looked like the skeleton of some massive, exotic beast. The only source of light came from the front side window, giving the room an eerie amber glow. I approached one of the tunnels off the beast and stood there timidly. It was pitch black in there. I dug through my backpack and fished out the flashlight I brought with me. I snapped it on and cast a beam of light around the playscape. My flashlight bounced from one fishbowl window to the next, looking for that sneering face from my nightmare. When they all seemed clear, I shone my light into the tunnel. Then I reached into my pocket and my hand gripped around the cold handle of my pocket knife. I started having second thoughts. What if the man was still here waiting for me? Sure, I had a knife with me, but would it be enough to take on a full-grown man? Maybe if I hit him in the jugular. I didn't know exactly where the jugular was, but my friend swore that if you got hit in the jugular, you were as good as dead. What if I missed it? It would only take him 3 seconds for him to overpower me and unzip my guts. What if this guy wasn't human? As if to answer my question, a chuckle came from deep within the darkness. My heart leapt into my throat. I waited for a minute, listening intently for footsteps, or in this case, someone shuffling through the tunnels. The place was as quiet as an empty cathedral. I thought of Emily. Her radiating innocent smile, the way she looked at me. I felt an invigorating surge of bravery wash over me. I climbed into the tunnel, flashlight in one hand and pocket knife in the other. I crawled through the tunnel cautiously. I had spent enough time here to know where I was going, but that didn't change the fact of how fucking terrifying the darkness was. With each turn, my bravery faded more and more and more. A new feeling was taking its place. I was going to die in here. After crawling through the maze of tunnels for some time, hearing nothing but my short, rapid breaths and thundering heart rate, I came to a strange sight. Someone had burned a hole in the plastic surface of the tunnel, but it didn't stop there. The hole kept going through the adjointed wall and into the building's cavity. It looked like something straight out of one of those prison break movies that played on TV. He took Emily into there, I thought with a dull sense of rage. I carefully climbed through the hall and ventured beyond the wall. I passed pink tufts of wall insulation that resembled cotton candy. The plumbing pipes hummed silently overhead as I crawled on all fours. The air here was more dank, and I had a wet basement smell to it. The tunnel finally opened up into a small concrete room. There was a dirty mattress in one corner, with scattered articles of clothing on top of it. Several yellowing newspapers and envelopes were strewn all over the floor, along with a few cans of beers and baked beans. I picked up a random envelope. It was simply addressed to a person named Mr. Robert Gray. That was it. No address, no sender information. A sickening thought entered my head. Someone had been living here. Was his name Robert Gray? With shaking hands, I opened the envelope and withdrew the enclosed paper. There was a simple message written on it, with what appeared to be blood. See? Nothing to be afraid of here. I noped the fuck out of there. During my frantic escape, I thought I heard something chasing me, something evil. I turned my head once. I was back in the tunnel, and I could have sworn I saw 2 orange eyes floating towards me. They appeared to be gaining on me. There was no time to think. I scrambled through the twisting tubes of plastic, my flashing bob light ahead of me. I didn't dare cast the light behind me. Whatever was chasing me, it was definitely not human. I had only one option if I was going to survive. That option was coming up fast, the 4-story tunnel slide. Without any hesitation, I dove headfirst down it. I closed my eyes and waited to get cut. to the ribbons by dozens of razor blades, but before I knew it, I plopped on the solid ground. I sprang to my feet and booked it for the back exit. My pursuer wasn't behind me anymore, but I sure as hell wasn't taking any chances. I didn't slow down until I was on my bike and half a mile away from Adventureland. I kept looking over my shoulder the rest of the way home for those orange eyes. But I got home safe. My parents didn't even notice I was gone, or that they had almost lost another child that day. I kept my encounter of Adventureland to myself for all these years. Nobody believed me at the time. I was just a stupid kid with an imagination that had been tainted by the abduction of my sister. Even as I grew older, I'd just been seen as a damaged kid with a traumatizing past. My word meant nothing. I started keeping tabs on that old building Adventureland used to be in. It became a hibachi restaurant after that. They had a large fundraiser there and the chef put cyanide in one of the dishes, poisoning 12 people. 8 people died. Then it became a house of worship. Some faulty wiring caused the fire to break out during one of the services. 14 people died. Today it stands as a daycare center for children. No incidents have occurred. Wow. That was amazing, wasn't it? Was I scared? Not really. I found it more unfailing. Though you do seem a little shaken. Here. Oh, I didn't mean to be so forward as to hug you. You don't mind? That's great then. Well, if you don't mind, I'd like to stay like this for a bit. Oh, would you like to watch another movie? Sure. I think there's a few on this disc anyway. Here, let me just put on another one then. Here we go. I think my roommate is trying to kill me. By Mac the Goal. Please don't erase this post. I need to know I'm not going crazy. I've tried posting to advice and relationships, but my posts keep disappearing for some reason. I have the screen caps and I wrote it down, but for the life of me I can't find them again. I need help, and I wish someone could help me make sense of what is going on. A bit of background. I'm currently studying at a college in Florida. Not the brightest idea, I know, but my scholarships to my dream university were pulled at the last moment, and I thought I'd better start getting the core courses while I wait for the problem to be straightened out. So a bummer, but nothing too bad. The problem started when I met my roommate. Let's call her Daisy. Daisy is basically a hippie. We live in a small apartment, 2 bedrooms, small kitchen, and living room, so it's not so bad. She keeps her new age stuff in her room, and I keep my stuff in mine. But she is weird about privacy. Let me give you an example. Let's say I ask her if I could go for her stuff because she asked to take a gold chain, and then she'd forgotten to give it back. She got super mad at me, like spit flying mad. I didn't even go in the room, and then she had the gall to say that since I had given her the chain, it was hers now. I never lent her anything again, and bought a lock for my door after that. Fortunately, nothing has gone missing, but now she makes a point to take any of my stuff that I leave on the living room table and move it around. It drives me crazy, but she thinks it's a hilarious prank. That's another thing. She's a prankster. I cannot count the times where she had taken my things and moved around or hid them, and then I had to spend 15 minutes looking for it. I was once late for a test because she had hid my car keys. She will also take any of my USB sticks, some of my earrings, and recently my new pens. I suspect that she's also leaving the milk out because it is spoiling way before their dates. She denied ever doing it, but she had the biggest shit-eating grin on her face when I said that she did. She's also picky as fuck about food, and more than once I have come back to find some of my food, especially my bread, on the trash pile. At least she doesn't eat anything of mine. So, everything up to here has been standard scumbag roommate level. That is, until the last couple of weeks. 2 weeks ago, my boyfriend came to visit, Patrick, and I have been together for about 8 months now, and he had been away for college, but since it's summer, he came back down here to visit me for a couple of days. My roommate was all over him, trying to get his attention. It was kind of satisfying to see her getting ignored, and the last part, when he handed me a ring, priceless. But she's been acting weird since. She suddenly became a lot nicer to me and has been doing me favors without being asked, like washing the dishes and doing my laundry. I told her I appreciated what she was doing, but to please stop, and she blew up at me saying I was ungrateful and that I needed to respect my betters, that I was a gossipy bitch for talking about her to my friends. She's also started to offer me food and even told me I was welcome to grab anything I wanted from her side of the fridge. A normal enough thing, if it wasn't for the fact that she rarely cooked before, and even then I'd seen weird things there before. The thing that cemented on my mind that there was something wrong was when I saw mistletoe berries around the kitchen. She played dumb and told me those weren't mistletoe, it was some other berry, but she couldn't tell me what they were. She has also been messing with the food on my side of the pantry and the fridge. I don't have concrete proof, but whenever I'm running low on things I like, they get replaced. When I know I haven't gone to the market recently, or things that I have cooked will suddenly vanish. I have since then bought a small locked cupboard and a mini fridge, and have them kept in my locked room. But I've also started suffering accidents. It was little things at first. My finger would get caught in the door after she said she had spent a day fixing the hinges, or I will hit my knee on the table she had recently cleaned of bad energies. After that, I started tripping into pointy things like the fence near the garden, of stuff will fall right on top of me. I almost got killed by a hammer that slipped from a repair man in the third floor of the building I was taking classes that day. If one of my friends hadn't called me back, I would not be posting this. The last incident is what cemented her guilt in my mind. I had taken my stuff to the laundry room on the roof because our machine had broken down suddenly. It was a little late, around 8 p.m. or so, when I finished, but the stairs were reasonably well lit, and I had done that trip 1,000 times before, so I thought it would be fine. I was busy balancing the basket with my clothes when I started going down. It was pretty lonely up there, and I swear I was the only person using the machines, but someone was up there with me, and that someone pushed me down the stairs. I rolled down the stairs, my clothes flying all around me, and came to a stop with a very painful crack at the bottom. I tried to look up, but some of my clothes had ended up on top of my head, and while I was trying to get them off, someone had come down and started strangling me with them. Those had been the scariest seconds of my life. It was like there was no one there, and my clothes had just decided to come to life and kill me. I lashed out and tried to kick whoever was there, but I was just punching air. I couldn't feel anyone there. I tried to scream, but only managed a pathetic gurgle, and that's when I heard it. A gurgle I had come to know and hate. I cannot prove it, but I'm sure it was Daisy choking me. I saw red and fought back, and finally, I managed to catch Daisy with a punch. I heard a screech and the pressure on my neck vanished and heavy footsteps, far heavier than Daisy's, go down the stairs. I ripped the cloth off my face, but I was unable to catch more than a glimpse of some thing turning the corner. I scrambled to my feet and went down the stairs, but whatever it was, it had gone. I quickly gathered up my clothes and went to the apartment, intending to have words with her, but there was no one there. I passed the time posting on Reddit asking for advice, but then the clock hit 3 a.m., so I decided to go to sleep. I woke up with bruises on my arms, like someone had clawed them, but worse, the lock was on my door still, and it was still perfectly functional, and I don't have a window in my room. I don't know what to do anymore. I checked my posts and they completely disappeared. They are the only posts that are missing. No one else in the building says they have seen Daisy since yesterday, and honestly, I'm debating between confronting her and just cutting my losses and running. Whatever new agey witchcraft Daisy did to me is taking effect. I'll post more tomorrow. Wish me luck. That one was just as great, wasn't it? Oh, you're falling asleep. You look so cute like that. Oh, what am I saying? But I don't want to wake you up now. Well, I guess I'll rest here just now until the others come through. I'm sure they won't mind. Thank you for choosing to spend time with me. I had a